What system are we talking about?
Um, okay, so meritocracy in the sense of the system that we have in America, where effectively the goal is supposed to be to get the best qualified candidate. So normally you're looking at the most intelligent candidate for most jobs. You know, it could be the strongest candidate, could be the fastest candidate, right? It really depends on the
That's
job,
false.
but we're looking for the best, right? That's traditionally
No,
what our
you're
goal is.
not.
Well, in practice, that may not be what happens, but it definitely is the goal, right? Like in a perfect
No,
world.
the goal is making profit. It's
Okay.
not getting the most people, it's not getting the best product, it's making profits. You're the best at making profits.
But in order
The
to
rest
get
doesn't matter.
right, but in order to get the profit, I need to get the best, right?
No, you
How
need to
not?
get Apple, like name any uh, like extremely profitable uh, enterprise that gives something innovative right now.
Well, most of them are probably headed by woke leftist CRT DEI
Like Elon Musk,
infested. No, but like
like Elon Musk.
like Elon Musk, you said?
I mean, is he woke and stuff?
I mean,
I don't think so.
he's just pure autism, right? Like he's just on a different
Hmm?
world than the rest of us. I think he's not really in the same
Then
reality as
why
us.
is he put? Then why is he put as the shadow president of America
Well,
if he's just
do
not on the same
you
board as
don't
us?
you don't live in America, right? So
I
you,
don't,
I'm asking
thankfully.
you, like, do you? Because
No, I'm not.
I live in Canada, right? I grew up like I lived quite a while in America, and
Hmm.
the social fabric has completely decayed there, like, and it's purely because of DEI and CRT has just divided the nation. Like it's really bad.
CRT is
Critical race theory.
something is a term used in academia. Nobody used this term in politics. Nobody used this term in
It's actually
uh,
in America. Trust me when I tell you, this is like you'll find it in ordinary
um,
conversations. But most of the
yes,
people,
you'll find it because the right decided that this is an issue. This was
no,
a
no.
no, this was a completely academical thing. The
Yeah, but
critical taste theory. No one in the public was talking about until the right
but nearly half the kids go
started
to
saying,
college in America. Like the all the
"Hmm?
you- like it, the youth of America. You have to remember, like most of them, like a lot of them are going to post secondary.
Yeah, but critical taste theory is not is not taught in all colleges. Like critical race
It's
theory
they're
is just
actually
a
starting.
subject in
No, no,
sociology.
no. They're already starting to basically teach aspects of this inside of high school. This is why Musk
Proof,
wants to take. This is one of the main reasons why
proof,
we. Excuse me.
proof, proof.
Here, I'll show you. No problem. Let me find it. This is widely reported on.
Yeah, by Fox News.
No, you. Do you want me to show you ABC News?
Definitely not Fox News.
No, I get you. I get you. I get you. I get you. Let me just try and find one where they're doing it when they're in high school for you.
What?
And it says K through
Oh,
12 classrooms.
let's see.
At least 16 states have laws or policies in place that limit lessons about race and equality being taught in American K through 12 classrooms. But that means that like 48, 44 states do not have it.
Which means that they're not saying that you cannot. It doesn't mean that they are.
Okay, bro. I'll That's your argument. Okay. When ABC's
I
telling me
mean,
that, and okay, if it wasn't in there, ABC would have been like, this doesn't exist in K through 12. It's complete nonsense. Why are we even talking about this? So it's really hard to find this stuff because literally liberals go and they inundate critical race theory with like
No,
bullshit
this
articles.
is difficult to find because if you, as you were saying, it was taught to every high schooler
No, it's
or
not
like
every.
most,
It's not every.
you
But aspects of the
most, yeah,
a
most,
lot of
you
them are
would have
being. Well,
tons,
how do you think
you would have
how do you think so many kids are like know about Palestine right now? Where do you think they got that from?
TikTok,
This oppression dichotomy.
TikTok,
What do you think an
TikTok.
oppression dichotomy is? It's from CRT. Okay, everybody who uses the
No,
word oppression is using CRT. Yes, it is. Oppression is
are you
100%
like dumb?
in.
Oppression is a word in the language, in
Yeah,
the English
but the
language.
concept that you're using it in, where there's an oppressor and oppressed, that is from CRT. Okay, that
That
is,
is from literally every
and
leftist
it is the
thing
center
ever.
of CRT, right? Because critical race
No,
theory stipulates that certain races
no,
are oppressed, right?
which is true, but
Okay,
by the way,
I need to show you that
yes,
CRT. Okay, here, CRT. Well, no problem, bro.
yes,
Here.
I know what it is, and I wouldn't even be opposed to
Critical
kids
race theory
learning it.
is an intellectual movement and a framework of legal
Yeah.
analysis according to which one, race is a culturally invented category used to oppress people of color, and the law and legal institutions in the United States are inherently racist insofar as they function to create and maintain social. Let's see how this finishes. I'm pretty sure it's going to say oppression probably again. It is based on oppression, okay? That is what CRT's basis is. The way that they choose your race in CRT is whether it's been historically oppressed, okay? So
Wait,
everybody who uses the word oppression, this
exactly.
is
No,
when
no,
you choose to
no,
pity
no, 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 no,
Palestinians,
no, no, no,
right?
no, no,
It's
no,
based on
no, no, no. I'm just
CRT.
gonna keep saying no because
Okay.
this is completely stupid.
So
Oppression is
what
a
is CRT
simple
based
word
on?
in the English language.
So what's CRT based on?
Oppression is a simple word in the
But
English language.
right, it is, but it's the basis of CRT.
Oppression
So
means
oppression
that
existed before
someone
CRT.
is
You're right.
oppressing someone else. It's the literal meaning of the word, and it wouldn't be difficult to imagine how Israel is oppressing Palestine.
It
It
doesn't.
wouldn't be
It
difficult
doesn't
to
matter
think.
the oppressor dichotomy that's used. So when these academics decided that Palestine was going to be pitied, they used their oppressor dichotomy because it's what they use for
Most
everything.
people didn't learn that to be pro-Palestine from American academia.
In America,
Definitely
they
not.
did. In North America, in South America, in probably
Wait,
most of Europe, all of that came from America. There was no discussion about this before it became a discussion at Harvard in
are you
Britain.
actually dumb?
In Britain, 50 years ago,
American
you're going to
is
say that Palestine.
pro-Israel.
You're going to say that
America is
Palestine,
pro-Israel. America is pro-Israel. What are you saying? The American
bro.
academic when America is
Fifty
one
percent
of
of
the
Gen
most
Z,
pro-Israel country.
50% of Gen Z like supports Hamas right now in America. Okay, under like
And
20
you
years
think
old,
the ones
it's
that
about
you
50%
think the
right
ones
now.
no, don't, because you're saying something dumb again,
Here, I'll show
because
you. I'll show you. I'll show
I
you a
know that
study.
that is the case, not Hamas but Palestine.
Okay, bro. Same thing, man. Same thing.
Their
Let's
teachers
say
who are mostly
10% of them.
Zion
Let's say 10% of them actually don't support Hamas deep
country. Do
down.
you think they got it from them?
I
Do
think
you
they
think
do.
that
I think half those kids just do whatever's popular, right? They were in the Me Too movement. They were in the BLM
yeah,
movement. They just
that
like
they learned
role
from
playing, right?
internet?
They're just like losers who have nothing to do and a
Thing
lot of free time.
that Gen Zers see right now is TikTok, one of the most used media by Gen Z.
Yeah.
TikTok is very.
Are you there?
Yeah, you're lagging a lot.
Is that me?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're lagging a lot.
Let me.
As I was saying,
Yeah. Okay. Here, I'll turn the camera off.
TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok is one of the most pro-Palestinian
Oh yeah, it's
apps,
Chinese
and it's one
propaganda.
of the
You know, like its algorithm, it pushes it. So of course it's going to be. I mean, they hosted
okay
Hamas. They literally hosted Hamas after October 7th. They like
on
invited them to a
TikTok. What do
round
you
table.
mean?
No, I mean like China invited Hamas in right after October 7th. So it's well established that they're not on
It's the
Israel's
first
side.
time that I'm hearing this.
Really? You didn't hear about this? Yeah, you should look
Yes.
into it. Yeah, there was a
No,
meeting.
you should actually give me sources because this is
Okay.
completely
Here.
absurd.
Here, I'll show you.
Go.
Here. I can show you something. Yeah, this one's perfect. Here. I made sure to actually yeah. There's one.
CBC.
You want more? You want Al
Okay.
Jazeera? Yeah.
Israel
I'll give you Al
rejected
Jazeera.
the Palestine it would not accept. Okay, China
Oh,
foreign
sorry. I'll give you the
minister.
same one. Here, I'll give you Al Jazeera.
Chancellor Mahmoud. Fatah, not Hamas.
Hamas and Fatah,
Fatah.
both. And
And a senior member of Hamas.
should it be a junior member?
In Beijing on July 23. July.
Yes. After October. Yes. 2024. Yes. See? Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
when we say
this
TikTok,
this happened
pro-Palestinian,
way after
yep.
October.
No, but like this is them reporting on it, right? I can show you probably earlier ones too here.
Like if
Like
if like
that's when they I think actually brokered something, but I think the first meeting was actually like in 2023. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. But either way, like even if it wasn't just a couple months after, like they're hosting terrorists, right? What does China have like does China speak Arabic, right? Like what do they have to do with that with
okay,
anything?
tell me something. Easy. Tell me something. Uh, exactly. Do we get Israeli like like ambassadors and stuff in our countries? Do we?
In America they do, in Canada they do, yeah. Britain, yeah.
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 Okay. So
Depends on the country, right?
okay,
But Israel's not designated a terrorist organization by multiple
it
governments.
should.
I mean, that's your
It
opinion,
definitely
right?
should.
That's your opinion. I think it's easy to say that
That's
when you
not
don't
my
live next to
opinion.
people. Listen, the Palestinian identity is literally modern day Nazism. It literally denies my indigenous rights as a Jew, right? It calls me a European invader when literally I look Arabic. I look more Arabic than many Palestinians. Okay? So it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I understand that might work for some people, right? Like, my cousin has blonde hair, blue eyes. Like, so what,
Hmm.
right? He's still half me, right? So it's
Okay.
that argument's a
Do
really
you
bad one.
think? I don't know. Okay. Do you think that they call one the Palestinian identities? They are the natives there.
No, they're
They
not.
live there.
They live there, but the Palestinian identity is completely fictitious. I can admit that they lived there, but they
Why?
were Arabs living there, right? They're just like any other
Yeah.
community of Arabs, right? It's kind of like saying like every different Arab group in Syria is now its own country. It now deserves its own sovereignty. That's what you're saying. If you give it to the Palestinians, you need to give it to the Alawites, you need to give it to the Kurds, you need to give it to all of them. And that's why none of the monarchies want Palestine. That's why Saudi doesn't really want it. That's why none of them actually want it. Because the whole concept of
Wait.
Palestine will start a fire in their
Are
own
you
countries.
like? Do you think that uh, like? Do you think? How do you think countries are born? Like, how do you think countries came to
A
be?
powerful country basically gave it the money and the setup to do it.
No, no,
They're
no. How do you think
vassals.
countries in general
Countries are
came to be?
basically vassals. They start as vassal states. They start as like beholden to another power that basically gave them the authority that they have and the
No,
resources. Okay, well,
no.
Well, then name one that hasn't.
countries comes to be from the people that live there, saying that these are the
Do you know how Syria was made?
the
Do you know how
representatives for the
Bahrain
people.
was
So
made?
probably a
Do you know
king
how Qatar was
historically.
made? Do you know how Saudi Arabia was made? Do you know how these countries were made? How their borders were set up? Because they did not determine their borders. They were part of the Ottoman
Yeah,
Empire. And when
England
the
did.
Ottoman Empire split up, three countries basically decided what the borders of each of these places was going to be. So all of those
Yeah.
Arabic nations that are now told in Syria, you're Syria, we said so, we're France, okay, we're in charge of you, and we say this is Syria. If you give Palestine's autonomy, why wouldn't you give it to them? You forced them to live in a country. They didn't choose it. They didn't choose Syria. None of them agreed to it. So you have to give it to
Yeah,
them too.
they should be able
Okay,
to
great. So then now we do
to
it for all the
go wherever they
ethnicities
want.
in Russia.
What's the argument
We do it
here?
for all the ethnicities in Uzbekistan. We do it for all the ethnicities in
Oh,
Tajikistan.
okay.
And we do it all over
Wait,
the
wait, wait,
world.
wait, wait a second.
Everybody
Wait,
gets
wait,
its
wait,
own
wait a second. Wait a
place.
second.
I'm
Wait a second. Wait
cool
a
with
second.
that.
Wait a second.
Sure.
Can Palestinian going to Israel?
2
Can
million
Palestinians going to
Palestinians
Israel?
live in Israel. They have
No, no, no.
citizenship.
Can Palestinians from from
You know what? 200,000 of them were working in Israel before October 7th, and every one of them is probably crying right now that they don't get to work in Israel because they were making on average 5 to 10 times the wage that anyone could in Gaza. So it was a privilege for them to work in Israel. They knew this and they appreciated it. Okay? We took from Gaza and the West Bank. So we were
Okay,
trying to
now
integrate
you're
them.
making completely stupid arguments because you know you are completely making arguments that don't follow each other. Not, they're not stupid. They just don't follow.
Sure. So allowing
just-
Palestinians
we went
into
from,
Israel, hold on. Allowing Palestinians into Israel is not proof that we're actually trying to build bridges with these people. It just shows we're apartheid, right? We're just enslaving them and abusing them, right? That's why we gave
You
them
are
minimum
enslaving
wage,
them and
right?
abusing them.
No, but we gave
You
them
have
minimum
a-
wage.
no,
We
no.
gave them the same wages we give any Israeli.
Okay, not
We didn't take
everyone.
advantage of them.
Not everyone, but you have 100,000 Palestinians in Israeli prisons.
Maybe right now because of the war, yeah, but
No,
not
before that even.
No, it's probably
Before that even.
30,000. It's probably 30,000. And 30,000.
Okay.
So what, man? So what? So what? You know how many people
Why
we
are
have
they
in jail
there?
in America?
Why are they there? Why are they there?
Dude, I've been to jail in America.
Why are they there?
Hold on.
Why are
I've
they
been
there?
to jail because they're
Why are they there?
terrorists, or they're the relatives of terrorists. They're their close family
With
members.
the relatives?
Yeah, if they
Are
get
you
paid,
high?
If they get paid for killing Jews, I don't care if they go to jail if they accept that money. I don't care. They get no pity.
So
And
basically,
normal
you're
people-
saying
Yeah, that people who
the
get paid money
guy
to kill
that gives
people-
them bread
Hold on.
is a terrorist. You're
No, no.
saying that the guy that cooks them food is a terrorist.
No,
You're
no,
saying
I'm saying that-
everyone is a terrorist.
No. Family members. The people actually profiting from this. Okay, the people who set up families.
Profiting from
and
what?
clans that earn like a career doing this. Like they literally raise kids from birth. You're gonna go kill a Jew and you're gonna make us a lot of money. The family's gonna be really rich because you're gonna kill Jews. Okay, that's the culture they.
Do
created.
Hamas gain anything from killing Jews economically?
Yeah.
How so?
Yeah, they get
How?
donors.
How?
They get all these people all over the world who are pretending to care about kids right now when it's clear that when kids die in other war zones, it's really not that important to them.
Hey, dipshit, respond to my question. How do they get paid?
They get donations from Iran,
From who?
from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar.
From
They
for
get
killing Jews?
money.
Why?
Palestinians have received more money per person than any other nation has on the planet as a whole. Per person,
That's stupid
Palestinians
and completely
receive
untrue.
more. Their leaders stole it. You can do the math. All you have to do is simple
Do it right now.
mathematics. Dude, from like 1994 to now, they have received like $50 billion. They're only like 2 million people. back then.
Okay.
Okay? All
Want
right.
to do a quick amount of math?
Shit's called.
Let's see.
Bro,
How much
you only need to
how
call
much
me a
does the
dipshit because you know
no,
you're
no,
losing
no,
this
no,
debate
don't
badly. Badly.
don't.
Badly, bro.
How much
This shit's
does
called, man.
only the US give to Israel each year?
Uh, okay, all 80 years that Israel has received money is less than America gave to Ukraine in the last 2 years. How much has Israel given back to America? How much do you think Ukraine is going to give back? There's your answer, buddy.
Israel
Israel gives
Israel
America
got
technology. I can show you generals
what
saying
technology?
you can find I can probably find this link for you. Generals from the US saying dollar for dollar, Israel is the best military investment that America makes. Dollar for dollar. Okay?
So basically you're trusting a general of would you
Are
trust
you
a
really
general
going
from
to
Hamas?
contest that Israel is
Now,
not
would you
number
trust
one in
a general
cyber
from Hamas
warfare capability?
words?
They
Would
took
you
down
trust a general
Iran's
from Hamas words
They
on
took
that?
down Iran's nuclear program with like a internet virus, man. Like, are you really gonna like pretend like
Yeah.
Israel doesn't
Keep
like
changing the goal.
doesn't?
Keep changing the subjects.
No,
Keep
you're
changing the
asking
subjects
what
of the debate.
Israel get. Well, like,
Go.
what money does Israel get? And I'm saying Israel pays it back. Israel's the only country that pays
How?
America back with
Okay,
technology. It's an
man.
investment,
What
man.
what technology? Which technology?
Oh my god, bro.
You
Just
cannot
about
name anything.
a
You're
lot of
just
modern upgrades to weaponry, a lot of modern upgrades to missile defenses. Like you know those ships that are shooting down missiles. Where do you think they got
they
that
are
like
testing
programming
them
from?
on.
That's off
They are
Iron
testing
Dome. They're
them.
basically
They
mobile
are
Iron
testing
Domes.
them. They
Yeah,
are testing
yeah, they
them.
are testing them. But where
The
do you think the original code came from? It's from Iron Dome.
America.
Yeah.
They are American
So so
money.
so America made Iron Dome for Israel? Is that how it is?
Yes, the technology isn't done in Israel. You think Israeli invented that? Are you
How
dumb?
about Pegasus? How about Pegasus? How basically the CIA can access the camera in your phones or on your TV or anything else. That's an Israeli program created by Israel, sir. Do I need to show you the information for that?
Do you think that was created in
I know
Israel?
it was. Anybody can plug Pegasus spyware and see
Okay,
it was made by Israelis, bro.
okay. Do you know that China does the same thing?
Yeah, after Israel
The
does it
same
and they
exact
get their
thing.
hands on it and they copy it, China doesn't make anything themselves. They're not
Now
innovators. All the Chinese are good
you're
at is
just saying stuff.
copying things. They don't know how to make
You're
things
just saying stuff.
themselves.
You're
No, they
just saying
really
stuff.
don't.
You're just saying stuff. You cannot prove any of this.
What? Okay, what kind of
You're
nuclear
dumb.
bombs does China have? How did China get its nuclear bombs? Did it make it themselves, or did it steal blueprints?
From Russia, I guess. They were
It stole
partners back
blueprints,
there.
bro. It stole blueprints. Okay.
From who? From who?
I'll find it for you in 2 seconds. I'll get you the link. It's either U.S. or Russia they stole it. I'm pretty sure they stole both.
They were allies with Russia.
I understand, but you don't just give them nuclear weapons, bro.
Yes, you give nuclear weapons to your allies. Yes, America did that.
Would you want?
Do you think that they gatekeep?
Would you want America? No, America didn't give them it. No, no.
Do you think they gatekept the nuclear technology from like France and stuff? No, they didn't.
Dude, China steals almost all of its stuff. Almost all of its best like nuclear tech is stolen technology
No.
from someone else. Okay, and then they try to like.
You cannot prove any of that. You cannot prove any of that. So stay quiet and
Okay, bro.
just don't talk.
You know,
Like
there's a thing
at
called
this
common
point,
sense in the
you
world, right? Which is probably why you think that you can argue that oppression has nothing to do with CRT, which we got way off point with, right? That was the
oppression is an
original
English
discussion.
word.
Let's get to DEI.
It's an English
shall we?
word.
We haven't even touched DEI yet. Let's go to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Since you said you were also
Okay.
able to argue this topic, right?
Yeah.
And what? This also supposedly isn't important? You think it's only in academia?
I think that the DEI is good. I don't think that critical race theory is something that I think is good, but I think like nobody talked about it before the right says, "Oh, look at this, look at this."
No, but it's because
It was
it's also the basis of DEI, right? Now, every corporation now has a DEI department. If you have a human resources
it doesn't
department,
follow.
what do you mean?
It doesn't
That
follow at
DEI didn't
all.
come from CRT?
No, DEI is just anti-discrimination laws.
So benefiting certain races that are historically oppressed and giving them more advantages has nothing to do with critical race theory, according to you. That's your argument?
Yeah,
Okay. So how do you explain why DEI helps the same exact races that CRT would say need uplifting? How do those two? It's just a
because
coincidence.
America historically did that. Like America historically oppressed
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
those
Black people.
races.
Yeah. Okay. But it also
It's
oppressed
like
Chinese people.
history.
But it oppressed Chinese people
Hmm?
too. So why is it? Why is it being? Why is it? Why are Chinese people being oppressed then? If they were also taken advantage of by Americans, which they were.
Do DEI often include Chinese?
Oh, it's really bad to them. It classifies them same as Jews and whites. Yeah. Like if an Asian right now who wanted to get into Harvard, he needs to get a grade that's literally 30% higher on his SATs than a
Based
black
on
person.
what?
SATs, the
Based on what?
what do you mean based on what? Like
Where do you find that?
this is in their literature. It's Harvard admitted this. They had a big lawsuit about it. They got sued over it.
Uh, let's
Here, I can
see.
show you. Harvard lawsuit, Asian SATs. Here.
Laws.
Here. Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard. In the lawsuit, the plaintiffs claimed that Harvard imposed a soft quota of racial balancing that artificially depressed the number of Asian American applicants it admitted. The plaintiffs maintained that the proportion of Asians Harvard admitted was suspiciously similar year after year, despite dramatic increases in the number of Asian American applicants, as well as the size
Okay.
of the Asian American population. It goes on and on, but yeah, it says
Okay.
it
Then
says the plaintiffs allege that Asian Americans scored higher than any other racial or ethnic group on other admission measures,
okay.
like test scores, grades, and extracurricular activities, but the students' personal ratings significantly hampered their admission chances, which is personal ratings is I am a black guy, so I get higher scores because I said I was a black guy. That's what that means.
Okay.
So, now
Do
that we
they were
understand that this
doing
is
DEI? Were they doing DEI?
yeah, this is a form of it, right? Yes. This Harvard
No,
has
it's
Harvard.
not.
What do you mean? So you're trying to say that letting black people in with lower grades is not DEI?
No, it's not.
Okay. I just hope you realize that like when you keep making positions like this and you keep taking positions that are so counterproductive to common sense, like I'm sure you think you technically won. Okay,
You're
you
deferring to
technically
common
won,
sense.
but technically winning is oftentimes like basically losing because
So
when
basically,
all
you're
you
saying
have to do is have an over 80 IQ to understand that letting black people into something easier than someone else based on his skin color, okay, or where he was born or what languages he speaks, this is the definition of DEI.
is it what I'm doing?
Oh,
Is it what
absolutely, bro.
DEI is doing?
Yes, that's what it does. Yes. Yes, that's it. It
You
literally has quota. It sets up quota systems where basically I, as a corporation, instead of finding the best 5 candidates that I could find, I want to find the best 5 black candidates. Therefore, I'm really only going to interview black people. I'm not even going to bother with white people because I want to find
No,
5 black people.
okay, so tell me, this thing would happen only if, for some strange reason, you kept your specific, like, your specific business decided to hire proportionally only white people. Why did you do that in the first place?
Oh, I won't justify that, right? Like, everybody knows that was wrong, man. The point is that, like, we as a society, if we just keep harping on our past, right? When we know it's wrong, when we admit it's wrong, when we say we want to move
No,
past it.
I'm not talking about past. I'm talking about in your industry, like in your business right now. Why are there so much? Why
Well,
are
white
there so
people,
many
well, I
more
mean,
white people than
some of it
black
has to do
people?
with the fact that, like, we are the majority in this country, right? It's like, I think like 70% is white, 60% is white.
Okay,
So
let's
that
say
alone
that.
means that 60 to
No, no, no.
70%
Let's
should
say
be
that
white.
in a certain industry or in a certain business,
Right.
there like
Okay, let
there
me give you
is
an example of where
70%.
let me give you an example of something, okay? So in the airline industry, even though
Yeah.
DEI, or rather, even though the airlines have made really hard attempts to get black pilots, okay, they're struggling. They had to literally lower the requirements to become a pilot, okay, to start actually getting black people to pass this. Do you want to fly
Did
on a plane?
did they do it?
Yeah, they did actually. They did. They did.
Okay.
So
That
would you want
actually
to
is a
fly on
false
that?
news spread by
No, it
by
was it. Trump.
American
No.
far right.
No. Like
Okay, let's do
even the.
this.
I'll show you. I have to dig this up too for you. Okay, here.
Yes, because this was misinformation. So yes, you would. Okay. Uh, also, also, I just realized. Why do I care? Like, why do I care that some individual actors are doing something? It wouldn't apply. One, you cannot prove that they were doing it because of this DEI.
Well, hold on. When you lower the standards, like because you say that we want black pilots, and then like no black pilots were passing it before, but now they're suddenly passing it. Again, we go to the common sense thing that I was talking about. Sometimes you don't need it spelled out for you in order for you to see what's really going on. Because that's how like, it's kind of like the law is set up like this. Our systems are set up like this, right? Where it's like catching someone technically cheating is not always easy, especially when they've ingrained themselves through like corporation, through all the tiers that are basically ingrained throughout society, through every aspect of our society, okay? So sometimes you really have
Now
to
you're just making yourself sound smart while saying nothing.
I don't
You're
like
not saying nothing. You're
I don't
saying
know how to
anything.
explain like to you that like when black pilots, right, cannot pass a certain test score, right? And you say, I want more
Okay.
black pilots. And then the next month the test score is lower and all the black pilots start passing it. Your argument is that I should see no correlation to that whatsoever. It's completely crazy for me to assume that there is a connection between those two things. That's your argument, right?
No, I am not saying that. I'm saying why, like, why
Let me just
would
get let's just
why
clear
would
one
you?
thing. Let's just clear one thing. Would you rather have a pilot with a high test score or a low test score?
Does the test score actually care for the job, for the quality of the job they're doing?
I wish there was a way to make people like you have to fly with the lowest test score pilot because you said something like
You know what?
that's
I can.
what you get.
Okay, this is a fact. This is a fact. This is a fact. You know what changes between the doctors that passed with a grade of 7 and with a grade of it's not 7 and 10, it's 170. With a grade of 100 on their exams and the ones that passed with 70. What changes?
What are you trying to say here? Like
Nothing. They do exactly the same job
What do you mean?
without
No, it's
no
like in a
difference.
crisis situation, man. Like that's what those tests are. It's not like, oh, how do you
No,
start the
first
engine?
tests
That's not what it's
are
asking you, man. It's like if you're in this crisis situation, what do you do? Okay, that's what
Do
they're
you have the
testing
test
you on.
for me? Do you have the test for me? Have you seen the test?
Let's go. Pilot
I am saying that
test exam
sometimes tests are completely useless. So unless you can prove that
Aviation routine
that,
weather reports 110 degrees at 12 knots gusting. Like you need to know shit, man. What like
do you think that in the medical do you think that in the
it shows you a bunch of hold on, it says what is the
okay, I was talking about the medical field. If you think that in the medical field it's less important a score test than in the aviation field, I don't know what to tell you. This is common sense. I
Yeah,
think
but
that
that's
in the
why
medical
our doctors are worse, right? Ever since DEI has come, have you seen how bad our medical has dropped? How many more people are dying now in hospitals? How many more like complications there are after surgeries?
are you
Do you want me to show you? I'll show
yes
you, no problem. Here.
go
Let me find it for you. Here's one article. I can find many more too. This is just one that shows how medical malpractice is ballooning.
let's see.
Here, this is a really good one. This is from the DOI. You know what that is, right? The main registry. It's like NIH.
Yeah.
And this has been going on. Like,
Okay, how does this apply to
well,
DAI?
if there's medical errors, right, from all these new doctors that are getting
Ah,
their,
yeah. So, yeah. I just said to you that that doctors in test scores that have a difference in test score actually do the same job and do it as well as the other doctors. And now you're blaming
how are you going to
you're
say
blaming this
that,
without
though?
any
How
proof.
do you say that, though? If I go to a doctor and I say, oh, there's something wrong with me, the guy who got 100 and the guy who got a 70, what's wrong with me might be in that 30% he got wrong. What are you talking about? He might
Are you that
misdiagnose
dumb,
me.
actually?
What,
Are you that dumb? Do
well,
you think that?
explain it to me then.
No.
How
Do
you
you
know
think?
that
No. Have you
if
ever actually
got it wrong, if I
studied
go
for a
to him
test?
with an ailment,
Have you
if I
actually
go to him with an
studied for a
ailment,
test once? Do you remember everything or most of the things that you studied in the test?
I will want the guy with 100 over 70, okay? Yes. And anyone with a brain would, okay? And it's disingenuous to state otherwise. It's like 1% of people might say what you say.
It is proven that they do the same job as well.
Who proved this?
It is proven.
Who? Where? Show me the source for that. Show
Okay.
me your source that it's proven.
Here it goes, and my source will not be some article that doesn't say what you're saying. It
Show
will
me your study.
literally
Show
say
me your
it.
study. Show me your
Okay.
study. Let me see the sample size. What? 300 people in one little town that you did? Yeah, I'm sure it's an extensive study.
Wait. Did you just realize that maybe just saying that wow, I found one place where this happens, it means that it is happening
Still
everywhere
reading
every
the source,
time.
bro.
It's a wrong thing to do, like you just did 2 times.
Still
in this conversation.
All right.
Okay, but
Well, I didn't call
it's
you a
not that.
dipshit, did I?
So ready? Hmm?
I said I didn't call you a dipshit,
So
did I?
yeah, but I'm not. You are. Just- I'm speaking the truth.
I can
Test
tell how honest you are.
exams
I can tell you're a
on.
very honest
I'm
person.
pretty honest on this.
I can tell.
Do you think I'm not honest about what I'm describing you
I think
as?
you really don't
Because I
like
am.
meeting people who are actually a challenge for you.
You didn't challenge anything. You said,
Bro,
bro,
you
it's
literally
common
tried to say
sense.
CRT had nothing to do with oppression. Like, come on, bro. Like,
No, I'm saying that people that say
now
the
you're
word
trying to say
oppression
that like how
don't
good a
take it
pilot's
from
test marks
critical
are
race
don't
theory.
matter. Like, okay.
Hmm?
You're even trying to say a
Hmm?
pilot's test scores don't matter. Like, come on, man. You're
Those
the
medical test
only
exams
person I've ever heard try and make that
scores.
argument with a straight face on.
Oh, maybe
You must. That's what I'm
because
saying. Like, you got to be a really good liar
maybe
to be able
because your
to
circle
literally be able to
of
do that with a
friends are
straight face,
stupid as
man.
well.
Bro, you know the only people who
Does
buy
medical
into an
test exam
argument just because you're
scores
confident. Those are
uh,
people with under 80 IQ. Okay, those are the people who think just because you
my
speak
IQ has been
confidently.
tested and it's 101,
Yeah, well, mine's about 30 higher than
and
yours.
it's and it was 5 years ago, so it's probably more now.
Age does not affect your IQ, homie.
Yes, if the test
No,
you
it's not.
did
It's
was when you were
calculated to your
13.
age. No, it's not. Every IQ test is calibrated to your age. That's why you put your age in there, and then you're supposed to get a test matching your age. So you taking a test
Oh,
at
okay.
13 is different than you taking a test at 30. It's not going to be the same test. Yeah.
Okay, then maybe it's even it's higher or lower
I don't
then.
know. Do you like
I don't
to
know.
if you don't drink and you don't smoke weed, you know, you keep your mind nice and fit, then you
Influences
know maybe it can go up a little bit.
their their results. Let's see.
There's no way you're gonna find me something like that, man. I get what you're trying to say. I know what you're trying to say, and I'd almost agree with it in some circumstances where it's like, yeah, just because the guy got a 70 doesn't mean he's shittier than the guy who got a 100. I get that argument. I totally do. That guy could have been lazy. He could have just not worked very hard, right? He could have just like slacked off a lot, just not taken that exam seriously. But 90% of the time, right, probably the guy with a 100 is actually smarter than the guy who got 70. It's probably not that often that the guy who got 70 is really the smarter one.
Not smarter. I'm not saying they're smarter. I'm
Well, better
saying they do the
doctor.
same
A
job.
doctor, I really believe that when it comes to a doctor, intelligence plays a really big part.
Critical test
It's
exam
not what
scores
you
influence
know.
their
It's not what you know. It's also like
medical
what you can figure out.
results.
Because when something's wrong with somebody, you know, it could be 100 different things. A lot of the time, you know, just with what they're coming in and saying to the doctor. You want a smart doctor.
See. Oh, this is another thing.
Anyways, if you think DEI, like, see, that's the thing. You're in a different country. You don't really know how our system works here, right? Like, you're like assuming a lot of stuff without realizing, like, DEI is embedded into our culture. It's embedded into the workplace. Like, if a guy shows up, okay, let's say you saw the same guy showing up as a man forever, right? Just like, and you've always been calling him a man, okay? If he shows up the next day just out of the blue, dressed up like a woman, okay, and he didn't even shave, let's say he has a big beard, all right? He's dressed in like lingerie with high heels, and he shows up to your work. You actually have to take him seriously. Like, if you misgender him, or like if he even catches you like laugh, you know, like just like laughing for no reason when you first see him, he can probably literally get you fired for that. That's the culture that they created for us here.
Find me one one even case that's the case. Just misgendering, like just misgendering
Misgendering
one
and
time.
getting fired for it?
Yeah,
Okay.
go. Run. One time.
Here, I got it.
Not
Here, I got it.
not
I got it. I
repetitively.
got it. I
Go.
got it. Here, I'll show you many more. There's a teacher that got fired for it.
Heritage Foundation.
Okay,
I
here,
use shit.
CNN. You want CNN? Same story by CNN. Here. Okay, here. Sorry, I
Okay.
forgot how touchy you are about where the sourcing comes from. Sorry.
The Heritage Foundation is literally an anti-trans org. That's what they do. But okay.
Firing Virginia teacher who misgendered student, right? That's what it says. Here, look, here's some more. Here's some more fucking crazy people. Here, look, here, look.
No,
They,
this
they want to
wasn't.
make it a human rights violation, okay? They want to make it a human rights
Okay.
violation in my country. All right? This is what my government
This
is
is,
talking about.
This is
You see how mentally sick
stupid.
this has gotten? Yeah, it's gotten that stupid. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
No, that you're stupid.
How am I
Because
stupid,
nothing
bro?
happened. Yeah, nothing happened. This thing was done something like 6 years ago. Or am I right? Like, wasn't this like the Jordan Peterson stuff?
It's 2022, bro.
Nothing ever happened.
Okay, here. Here.
Society
The fact that they
didn't change.
So when they try and take it to like be passed as a thing in our courts, right, where it's like literally now into human rights law, you just think it just found its way into like a bill that almost passed randomly. Here, look, here. I mean, this is the New York Post, but like, I don't consider the New York Post that far off. It's not like not like the Heritage Fund. Lots of teachers have been fired for this,
Okay.
and that's
I
just
think,
refusing. That's just refusing because they come with a beard, or they're not even like they just like or put a little lipstick on, and they're still like the same guy, and now they're like you have to call me Amanda, and they're just
Why
fucking
not?
with the teachers.
Yeah, but why not?
Because if anybody can do that, right? And they're just doing
Yeah.
it to like for attention, or they're just doing it to like disrupt the class, or just for shits and giggles.
How is like another name disrupting the class?
Because if you can just change it any second, and then the next day you want to be called Adam again.
Not any
and
seconds.
now you're gonna say you're not.
Not any seconds, but one time you're allowed to change your name.
No, but like literally,
Shouldn't
some
you?
of these guys.
Like, would you?
Hold
No,
on.
no.
Some of these guys want to have
Would you?
two names, depending on whether they come in as a boy or as a girl, because they're both
Fine.
boy and girl.
What's the
okay?
problem with that?
Bro? Enough.
Yeah, what's the problem?
Enough. Because
What's the
anybody
problem?
can just- because it opens the door to a lot of stupidity, and kids don't need that
What?
nonsense. There's going to be
What?
more kids abusing that, okay, than who genuinely need it. That is the point, okay?
Two names. What's the problem with having two names?
When you just like any other day you did like okay, here's one of the other problems. Do we let them play in sports when they decide to be Amanda? Does she get to play with girls in the same sports too?
Depends on their ability. Depends on their physical ability.
What if she's only Amanda during the time when one of the sports comes up that she's good at and there's a tournament and that's the day she's Amanda?
In school, I don't really care. It's not a competition that's like
But
important.
those are how girls get scholarships in college, right? Those high schools matter. Like those relays matter, right? For those girls because that's their way to a scholarship, and you're giving that scholarship to a man, right? You think that's fair to those girls?
I don't know because this is not the way it works in Europe at all.
I know that.
So I wouldn't say that.
But you have to.
Okay,
you have to understand
let's say.
that like wherever Europe is with its woke stuff, right? Europe's not the pioneer.
No,
Europe
I'm not talking
copies.
about the woke stuff. I'm talking about getting like
Well, it was in Britain,
scholarships.
right? In Britain, you started seeing
Getting
this a little.
scholarships. I was talking
Oh,
about getting
oh, oh.
scholarship. It's
Yeah, yeah,
not the
yeah.
way it works in Europe.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Not
right.
the work stuff, the scholarships.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
There like really not much scholarships in Europe. It's not something used.
Right.
It's right, I know.
No, no, I know there's not as much post-secondary education as Europe in Europe. Yeah. It's like
No,
America.
we just don't have scholarship because sometimes, for example, in Germany or in other countries, it's free, so you don't need a scholarship.
Even to like the
And even
really
in the
big
country that,
universities?
yeah, free universities.
Wow. You guys have it
Also
separate
in
here?
Italy, the costs are not private, like are not the costs of the ones in America. They cost very little for like an average person. Like everyone can, like
Afford it. Yeah,
almost
yeah,
at
I
least
get you. I
everyone
get you.
can
Yeah,
go
it's
to.
crazy. Like what they charge here is insane. You can't like literally like if you wanted to go to Harvard, you're gonna pay like $70,000 a year right now.
Okay, so if the scholarship system is something that actually is needed for people to get into university, I would say that the scrutiny to those sport activities should be higher. For example, as the Olympiads, Olympiads. I don't know exactly the English,
Olympians?
like, yeah, the English pronunciation of that.
The Olympics, you mean? Like the Olympians from
Yeah,
the Olympics?
Olympics.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah. They're Olympians, yeah.
okay. So the standards to classify as another gender from the ones that from the sex that you were born as is like very strict. For example, if I'm not remembering correctly, it's at least 10 years on on um, on HRT. 10 years. You cannot just choose. It's 10 years consecutive
What's
on HRT.
HRT is referring to what? Hormones?
Hormone replacement theory. So you're getting
Okay, but what do we
the
do?
for
What?
at least 10 years you're on
But, but that's not going to change your
estrogen if
bone.
you're
That doesn't change your bone density. It doesn't change your organ size. Like there's a lot of it. Like for some sports that works. For some, but for a lot of sports, there's still ingrained advantages that the man's going to have
okay
broader
for
shoulders, right? Skeletal structure. Like these are all very important things.
okay, so you're saying that women that have those things should also not qualify for a woman.
Well, I mean, if a woman has like an obscene amount of testosterone and like,
I'm not talking about testosterone, which actually does
oh, you
something.
mean just like
I'm
bone
talking
structure
about
and
broad
stuff? No, I
shoulders.
think I think like that's part of it, right? It's kind of like most sports. You have a way to offset that advantage with other advantages that same sex has. It's kind of like the tallest guys in soccer. They're normally the best, but like a really short guy can also match up really good with a tall guy, right? Like
Soccer is not really a sport that goes by height. Not really.
it can, right? It can. Like German players, like that's how they set their teams,
The
right?
best,
And they use a lot of heading.
no, but the best player in the world right now is very small. Messi
Yes,
is
you're
pretty
right.
small.
You're right. You're right. But again, like that's because his team
We are talking
also
about the
is
best,
structured
not
around him,
one of the
right?
best. The
True,
best.
but his team is also built around him, right? It's like if he played with a bunch of guys who were like 6'3" and every other
He's
player was
literally
6'3".
playing for North America and is crushing the league.
Well, of course, North America is not a good league. That's like a
Yeah, but,
that's a ridiculous league. It's the worst league.
yeah, which means that if he's playing with bad players against bad players and he's crushing them, it means he's good.
No, yeah,
Even
sure.
even on its own, because he doesn't have good teammates now.
Yeah, but like he's literally in a league where he can probably like play by himself and win those games, okay? Like he's up against really bad players. Like those guys are like not on any like world teams, you know what I mean? Like when they do their FIFA stuff too. Like you don't take players from America.
Okay.
You know, even if they
So
have dual
your point
nationality, nobody's picking these guys.
again, would you say that if a woman, cis woman, has
Like it doesn't matter
for
what,
example,
like she
very
could be
broad
gay,
shoulders?
lesbian, right? It doesn't, it like that part doesn't matter, right? Like cis doesn't matter. Like the thing is that okay, someone
Cis
with
is cis
some
is cis that just doesn't mean just means that she's not trans, which means she's
no
female.
cis is I think cis means that they're straight too, doesn't it?
No,
Cisgender describe whose gender identity corresponds to their sex assigned at birth. Yeah, okay, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
Mm.
you're right.
it just means not trans.
Yeah, no, it means that you're either male or female. Yeah, it's just whatever your sex was assigned at birth, and then you still identify as
Mm.
that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, but I
which
hope you
means
know that
that
terminology is being like stricken, eh? It's like that's out of public. This like they're that those kind that terminology they're literally trying to now like ban it because like it was creeping in, and like you're like show me the
what's
proof,
the
but it's
problem with it
hard. It's
creeping
not
in?
in the it's not. Well, it's like this kind of stuff. It's just kind of like unnecessary to like be like. It's just not necessary for kids, right?
But
It, it's just adding more unnecessary stuff. Whereas like you want to be teaching kids to think critically. Like, have you seen what the scores are for Americans in their like what the test scores were for like fourth graders 10 years ago and what they are now?
yeah,
It's
because of COVID mostly. COVID really did a bad number on that.
It did, but it was already going like the 4 years, 5 years before COVID, right? When they were already
Mhm.
starting to incorporate a lot of this stuff into schools, there was already a trajectory going
Okay,
down.
you're literally making shit up.
No, I'll show you. I'll show you right now. I'll show you.
You're okay. Can I make a claim?
Sure.
Oh, really? After like
I'm going
after
to
all
show you
this,
test scores. I'm going to show you test scores for kids from one state, right? And I'm going to show you them year by year, and you can tell me if it's
yeah,
not like a
that
steady
wouldn't prove
trajectory.
what you're saying. It just means the scores have lowered. It
No,
doesn't
but
mean the
it's
scores
like
have lowered because of that.
it's like every single state, and they're all in the same like they're in the same ranges, and
Okay.
the only
Then
ones
would
that
you
have it
think
are the
that
really red states. The really red states don't have this, and the most blue states have the worst.
the red state don't have a problem with education?
They have less. They actually have better scores. Yeah, I mean that's the whole reason why they can attribute it to
Wait,
this.
wait.
Let me find
We are
it.
talking about state by state scores. They're
Yes.
not internationalized.
No, but they do them for the like each state publishes like this is what our fourth graders are their literacy rate is at. This is what their mathematic ability is, and each state publishes their information. So you can basically
And
go
they just like
and
lie
match them
and
up.
say that they are higher. How do they
It's the Department
do
of
that?
Education, right, publishing them. So like, why would the Department of Education like lie to make Republicans look better? Right?
Because
It's
like
their data. They're the ones keeping track of it all.
yeah, but they are keeping track from people from that states. Like for example, there's a lot of places that do this. They just make tests easier to get better grades and to make themselves look better. The shit always happens.
Oh, you mean like
If you
what?
don't
Oh,
have
you mean
a
like the schools are like basically helping the students what, like cheat or
see,
something?
also in the red states, you know what's higher.
Sounds like a very Soviet thing to
You
do.
know what's higher. You know what's higher. Private education, which means
Sure, but that's actually what we're advocating for by dismantling the Department of Education is like instead of giving the Department of Education $21,000 per kid to make them illiterate, why don't you give that money to a parent and they can choose what to do with that money through schooling? They can send their kid to a private school that way, right?
so they can smoke it. Can
Sure. Well, like
you smoke it?
if their kid has higher scores, let them smoke it, bro. You know, if they're gonna teach their kids for that money and teach them properly, like have a system set up where they have to take some kind of exam right at the end of the year. If the kid fails it, the parent doesn't get any more money. But if the kid passes it with flying colors and he doesn't cheat, and we can
So you're
set up.
saying there are no repercussion to letting your kid be illiterate? No
No, no, no.
repercussion.
I'm saying that
Like,
he has to be
we can just do that.
literate for you to keep getting the money. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
So you can just,
You just take the money
as
away.
long as you're rich enough, you can just
No, but they're
not
gonna
do
get,
it.
but we're already paying 21,000 in public taxes. Every single kid, like in Illinois,
Hmm.
it's 17 to 21,000, depending on which county you're in. That's how much the county is paying the public school for you to go to school there. So
Okay, fine.
that could
Everyone has
just
it.
go, and it doesn't need to go to the parent. Okay, so let's not give it to the parent. Or if it goes to the parent, you give the parent half. Okay, but they still have to obviously raise the kid. Like they have to abide by those. They have to pass a certain point on their exams, or the money's cut off. And then the other solution is now they have money to go to a private school or a charter school. Charter schools
Which
are often
are
much
not
better.
proved to be better than the public ones.
They'll 100% they're going to be better. They're going to be better because
There's no proof that they're
charter
better.
schools don't do better. Oh yeah, there is. Oh yeah, there is.
In what categories?
Yeah, charter. Just basically like I explained to you with how they do that testing. Do you know like basically every grade in American schools you take like an aptitude test. They don't even show you what you get on it. They just say take this exam. It's don't sweat it. It's just take it at and you it's like a 3-hour exam. You take it and then based on how well you do in that exam, the school gets funding based on those marks. So that's what they're kind of used for. They're kind of used like both to see how good the school is doing, and then based on those marks, certain schools are allocated more funds.
Is this private or public?
This was
What?
I don't know if it applies. Like I know the private schools have to take the test, but I don't know
Yeah.
how their funding
Also,
works. I don't know.
yeah.
How their funding.
Also, again, you can just make the test easier or
Well,
make the
it's
grading
all the
more.
same. Like they would literally need to
Okay,
help
they're all
them
the same.
cheat. They would have to help them cheat.
Okay, so
Schools.
isn't this good?
Yeah, yeah.
Why are we changing it?
I mean, it's not a bad thing, right? But it just goes to show that like the charter schools had better outcomes.
Why?
Yeah, it says charter
charter
school
school-
students, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, are outperforming their traditional public school counterparts in math and reading, with charter schools showing stronger academic growth, according to a 2023 study by Stanford University Center for Research on Education Outcomes.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then you'll see this in Britain too. In Britain, there's also a huge problem with the public education in Britain, where the charter schools are now getting better results, and you know what?
Why are they getting better
right?
results?
Starmer took basically like before Starmer came into power, poor people were getting like a stipend, which they could use to either send their kid to a charter school or a public school.
Wait, charter school or public school?
Like they got to choose what to do with the money, right? Like they got the money either way, but they could choose. If they wanted to go to a charter school, they would have to basically pay a little more, right? But the government was still helping them pay for that charter school. Now, with the new British government, they took that away. They're basically forcing them now to go to public school, a lot of these kids. And the thing is like I just read to you, the disadvantaged kids are the ones that see the greatest difference, right? It's like the disadvantaged
Charter
kids.
school. I don't understand. Charter schools are publicly funded, tuition-free schools.
But they're not bound under public curriculum, so they teach in their own way. You still have to pass the same exam at the end of the year. There's still a standardized exam that they're going to take that the same public schools take, but they're allowed to basically say, we will teach our students our own way to get to that final exam. Yeah.
Okay, but aren't they like
They're incentivized to
Like
do
if
better.
they're publicly funded, why are they like? Why do they?
They're partially publicly funded, whereas a public school is going to be full public funding, right? A public
Of
school does
course, I want
not
the
make a
full one.
yeah.
Why?
Charter
Why
is
do I?
partial.
Why do I pay? Like this is American brain rot, honestly. Why do I give money as a state? The money is from the taxpayers to privates, and then you still have to like the people still have to pay.
Well,
Why?
it's like for the charter schools, the extra fees. I'm reading it now. It's like it's more like when they have extracurricular activities, school trips. It's kind of like whereas in a public school, it's like if the kid doesn't have enough money, right? It's kind of like they have like low income options for students where it's they get free lunches or something. It's like you won't have
Mhm.
those kinds of publicly funded things in it, but it's still a school, right? Like you're funding it because it's a school.
Yeah, but how are they doing anything different?
Just the curriculum is different.
Like
Therefore, the
curriculum.
outcomes become different, right? When they take their exam at the end of the year, all the kids are taking the same exam. Doesn't matter if you go to a charter school or a public school. You take a final exam at the end of every year in American schools. And based on that
Yeah, but
exam, you pass or fail the year, right? If you get too low on that test, even if you passed all the other stuff, if you can't pass your final, they can fail you. They can just be like, you're not going to the next grade.
mhm.
So that's what it's kind of used for. It's like an aptitude exam to see if,
So basically, what you're saying is, since this type of school can like get their own curriculum, they can just make sure that their kids get better results on the
yes,
test,
they could
and
basically say, you know what, this curriculum, I don't think it works that well. I think I can teach this better using this model. I'm going to
so
use this
basically
model.
they can just teach incorrect stuff.
I wouldn't say incorrect because it still has to be stuff that like they still have to teach
Okay,
them what they're going to
as
need to
long
know.
as it's not part of the test, I can teach whatever I want.
As long as it's part of the test or develops the skill necessary for the
No,
test.
yeah, but as long as it's not in the test, I can teach false stuff. I can teach kids like literally anything I want.
I mean, to an extent, you still have like people coming from, I guess, yeah, that would be oversight from the Department of Education. So they wouldn't have the same oversight on them. So yeah, they would have more freedom to teach what they want. But then you as a parent, you should be interested in what your kids are being taught, right?
Society having like private schools that are made to like teach incorrect stuff or to exclude certain kind of people just because I don't know what exactly.
Oh,
Because
like you think what they'll just pick students like that they want? Well, the whole point of charter schools really, and this is kind of like, yeah, you're right, that kind of, but that's more private schools. It's not charter schools, right? Charter schools are really actually meant to give like an alternative to disadvantaged kids who are intelligent, right, and who don't want to like who shouldn't be slow walked, right? It's like in public schools, you're going at the rate of the dumbest student in the class, basically. And that's kind of a new thing that's happened in the last 10 years where it's like teachers will literally dumb the class down to compensate for that one student. So now basically all the
Mhm.
smartest kids are being slowed down for the sake of this one slower kid, right, who you need to basically work harder to educate. So that's kind of
Mhm.
where charter schools, they find that niche, right, where that's really why these parents
So
want the
basically,
charter
there are
schools.
schools that are made for smarter kids.
Yeah, but they're like, I'm not talking like the genius schools. I know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
I'm not talking quite there, right? I'm talking about like the kids who have like between 100 and 120 IQ. So like above average, but not
Why do you know
genius.
their IQ? Why
Hmm?
do you know their IQ?
Well, I'm really good with IQ, right? Like it's one of my fields where it interests me a lot. You can learn like
IQ doesn't correlate to like being a good student.
do you know that IQ is the highest determinant in life for your future success? It's
Elon Musk is
15%.
pretty stupid.
No, it's so out of any psychology field, I don't know if you know this either. Out of any field of
Mhm.
psychology, IQ is the most well studied and the most accurate by a factor of 3 times more than any other field. That's how well it's been
At
researched.
doing what?
At accurately gauging someone, like if you get an IQ test that's 120 and you take another IQ test, it's going to be 120. Like it's like that's the point of structuring a good IQ test.
Okay,
That's the
what does
science
that
behind it.
120 mean in my life? Why do I care?
Well, it's not like for you personally, it's not that big of a deal, but like if you wanted to, let's say, train someone, okay? And like it's like an industry that you specialize in, right? Let's say you're like a stockbroker or
Mhm.
something, right? And you really want to train someone from hands up, right? Yeah, you'd probably want to
Mhm.
maybe have your applicants take IQ tests and figure out, which are the smartest ones and narrow your candidate pool from there. I think
Okay,
there's a lot of ways where employers would want to know.
yeah, but if I do a broad intelligence test, which is the IQ, it doesn't really say if I have a good if my intelligence applies to the field, is it? Does it?
That no, those are more like aptitude tests. Like military has those. Military has more stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, then why if I'm like for for example, if I need someone that has a smart memory, why shouldn't I just test for a smart memory instead of doing an IQ test?
So
Like an accountant.
memory and
Why would I?
IQ are often linked, but you're right, they're not always linked. Um, it really depends on the job, right? Do you need that person to be better at memorizing things, or do you need them better at problem solving? Right? Like customer service,
Hmm.
you probably want someone who's better at problem solving, higher IQ, than someone who's better at memorizing things. Like
No,
if
I
you're,
want a customer service. I definitely want people that are good with people,
well, no, that's
not
true. That's
IQ.
true. But oftentimes high IQ people will be better with people. Not into you're
No.
up to a point. I'll admit, up to a point where they start getting like autism, and you're into these weird, like there's something wrong with them to get that smart, right? It's kind of like when
Mm.
you get too smart, the brain has to compensate for that in some way. That's what it feels like to me because
No,
I've met the
because
guys with 160, 180 IQ, and there's always even Jordan Peterson. Like that's not a normal guy, right? Like so, he's a little
it
quirky.
seems pretty stupid to me. Eh?
No,
Like
he's smart. He's
Jordan
smart, but
Peterson is pretty stupid. Smart in
he
what?
he's a genius, but he's just you have to kind of put yourself in his
Genius in what?
mindset. Hmm?
In what? Genius in what?
Psychology, man. He knows a lot. He knows a
How
lot.
is how
Like he
is
knows
he
the
a
formal literature really well. Like all the studies and like like he knows a lot. He is smart. It's just that he's arguing the opposite stuff of what you believe in. So you're it's like
no?
you're
He
gonna be
sounds
biased.
smart. That's the problem.
No, he
Most
is
of
smart.
what uh, Anderson really says is the same dumb shit that people like literally the far right says. He just says
Well,
it
yeah,
to
but the
sound
thing is,
smart.
is he's actually the first one that said most of that stuff, right? So like it's not like he's
Not
parroting them;
really,
they're parroting him, right? Because he's one of the
not
first guys that
really.
started to challenge the DEI and the CRT and all that stuff. So,
But he did that, and then nothing changed. Like
well,
like
until now,
what
right?
he
Until
what he
now,
no no what he challenged no what he challenged was past, and nothing happened. Nothing bad happened.
well,
Literally nothing. Nothing changed.
I think you should
There's
look at the
there's no
landscape here in 6 months. And Trump has been in office what, like 6 weeks. I don't know why people
mhm.
thought like for 6 weeks he's done a lot, man. He's done more than any other president
A lot
I
of
can
bad
think of.
things. I agree. are really really a lot of bad things. I agree.
I mean, you call them bad things. I think that that's the only chance we have at saving our morals and
You're
values.
You're in Canada. You're not in America.
Yeah, but
Why
like,
is we?
well, first of all,
He's
I'm an
literally
Albertan. I'm an
he's
Albertan.
literally leading a tariff war against you
You
guys.
should, you should. Well, first of all, I'm Albertan, and Danielle Smith just made an ultimatum. She just left it on Twitter today because our new prime minister, the fake prime minister, right, who's like nobody elected him. He just like the real one resigned, so they put this idiot in. He went to her to try and have a meeting, and she wrote a long Twitter post, and she's like, I had a very frank discussion with him, and she basically told him, if you don't capitulate to all these demands that I have and let me work with the United States unhindered, that means that you can't put tariffs on my exports to them. You can't do anything with my resources. I'm in charge of them. If you try to interfere, she basically said she's going to secede. So she'll annex
Who?
Alberta and give it to Trump.
What are you
Quebec,
talking about?
Quebec was also taught. I don't know if you know what Quebec is. It's the French province in Canada. It was trying to secede like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It had a vote for it.
Okay.
And it was like 49% to 51%. So it literally almost became its own country because every Canadian province can secede. Yeah. So we'll see,
Okay.
right? We'll see. But I'm just saying, if you think that like this 6 weeks is like, he hasn't done enough or blah, 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 it's like, just wait and see, bud. Just wait and see.
I mean, is pretty like no one's saying that he's not doing stuff. Most of people are saying that he's doing all the bad stuff.
This is where the conversation strays into different topics. I've decided to cut the video off here. If you liked what you saw, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all again soon, hopefully. Take care. Bye.